Manon from Beyond the Void about gaming on Ethereum. So big round of applause for Manon, please.
Hello. Well, my name is Manon Burgel, like I said, and I'm from B2Expand. It's a company. Oh, I missed the. It's a company that was created last year in January, so it's a little bit more than 1 year old, and to focus especially on the crypto and gaming. And we did an ICO before the creation of the company to fund our first project that is called Beyond the Void. That was in November 2016. And yeah, now when we began to work, we were 4 of us. Now we're almost 20 full-time. And the last thing I will add before moving on about the company is that the nice thing about it, it's a family business. So we're all from associates from the same family. And in video games, we are not the first startup and company to be family-based because, well, Ubisoft, for example, is also. Anyway, just a little bit of background about what we wanted to do when we created Beyond the Void and the company. We are all gamers in the family and in the company, and we thought that when we were kids, we could actually exchange games between us, between friends, between other people, because back then games were physical items as well as digital items. Like you couldn't be the owner of the intellectual property of the game you bought, but you had a physical item that you could actually give away or trade back, or even on the second-hand market. And you were in control, and you could do whatever you wanted with this physical item. Today, in most of the video games that are launched are actually only digital, and there is no physical counterpart anymore. Meaning that there is still the intellectual property of the content, which you are not the owner, but there is no physical counterpart that you own. And this is a problem when studios are actually using that, so licenses are not transferable anymore between friends and between players. And you buy only the right to use an item, you don't really buy the item itself. So the goal of B2Expand was to create a game, an ecosystem of game and platforms that could re-enable a second-hand market for video games and for video games items, where you could truly own your assets. And we use blockchain for that because of this decentralized and peer-to-peer way. And the second thing that we thought is that since blockchain is transparent, public, and anyone can actually what's happening and the transactions that are happening there, every developer, every willing developer could actually implement his own functionalities in his own games using other game assets. Meaning that their assets could actually be cross-gaming. You buy an asset, you can use it in 1 to 10 games, and then when you're bored or when you want to sell it back, you can actually trade it back on a second-hand market. Beyond the Void is the first game that we developed. It's currently in early access on Steam. And just so you know, because a lot of people have been asking the question, what Steam does think about crypto? Because they accepted Bitcoin, then they don't accept Bitcoin anymore, and it was like questions around Steam, which is the largest distribution platform for video games today in the world. And the answer that they gave us when we asked the question with Beyond the Void is that they don't really care for now if we are using a third-party shop, even in crypto, as long as users from Steam are not going outside of Steam from the game to go to the store. So basically, if the store and the game are separated, and users that want to go to Beyond the Void store just go on Google and type Beyond the Void store. Then it's fine. Actually, they have no problem with that. And way before crypto was appeared, there were already several games that had third-party stores, so that's not a problem at all. Beyond the Void is a game where you fight with a mothership. It's a space game, so it's strategy. You have skills, you have a mothership, you have skills, you fight with it. And you have to defeat one opponent, so it's an online 1-to-1 game. And yeah, so that's a little bit like a MOBA with a lane, and you have war towers that you have to destroy, and then the mother planet of your enemy to conquer, and then you win the game. The other part of the game is more RTS, real-time strategy, and it's all about conquering planets, then build things on your planets, have more army, and so on. And this game is designed to be competitive, meaning that we don't and we won't sell any pay-to-win items that would increase your win rate, for example. And in this kind of games today, this system of competitive game with cosmetic assets could be compared to other games like League of Legends, if you heard of it. But in League of Legends, or most of the game in the market today, when your account is suspended, when your account is suppressed, or you don't want to play anymore, you're bored of the game, then all the money that you spent in the game, well, it's lost, and you can never get it back. When with our store, decentralized, which is just basically an interface between the Ethereum blockchain and you, when we display our blockchain assets that are in-game items via Ethereum, then it gives you the possibility to buy from us the asset, but also to trade it back and forth with other players. And this is happening with no commission and with no interference whatsoever from our studio or from any other studio. Cross-gaming can be also explored in Beyond the Void, because we have cross-gaming assets with Spells of Genesis, which is another game, which is actually the first game, really, except gambling games that were like way before, but it's Bitcoin based on Counterparty. You can check it out if you want. It's a mobile game. It's quite fun. And what's happening here is that a card, an event, all in the red at the top is an event in Beyond the Void. It will be implemented very, very soon. Anyway, the asset is already existing. And it's a card in Spells of Genesis. So, and this is the same asset, but it's different functionalities, different graphics in different games. And it's already working, even though it's even cross-chain, because Spells of Genesis is on Bitcoin while we're on Ethereum. The store, well, Beyond the Void store looks like this. It's completely decentralized, meaning like every asset in the store is blockchain-based ERC20 standard on Ethereum. And every transaction has to be made with Nexium, which is our token on which we did the ICO 1.5 years ago. So we are selling avatars, skins, holotags, and all the cosmetic stuff that you can find typically in this kind of game. And in the black market tab, players can trade back and forth between them and with no interference from us. So that's about true ownership. So today, when I came, I wanted to talk about gaming on Ethereum, but not only B2Expand, but also all the other games, because actually I listed 70 games on Ethereum that were created in 2017. And this is a lot, considering the size of the blockchain community and space right now. And lots of people, even studios, large studios, small companies, startups, are actually willing to go to the blockchain for the true ownership, from the cross-gaming, and even implement blockchain into the game, into the mechanics of the gameplay, like CryptoWars in the middle does already. I think everybody knows about CryptoKitties, Spells of Genesis I was talking about earlier. And there are actually, this is just 3 examples, but there are like a lot more. So there are a lot of collectible games around, but there are also other games that want to explore the gameplay possibilities with blockchain and not necessarily with Ethereum as well. And what I thought is, okay, I want to make my conference about Ethereum and gaming, but truly, I don't think like all these startups know each other. Today, there is a very large Ethereum community that is gathering in these kind of events, CoinFest, the Block Show, and all these kind of events. So everybody is meeting, but there is no dedicated space for all those games, and blockchain and gaming, I think, is quite specific, and the startups don't know each other very well. So the question was how to really make blockchain and gaming professional meet. And that's why B2Expand is designing an event in Lyon, France, in next September. It will be the 25th and the 26th of September, and this is designed to meet with all the blockchain companies around there. So we're inviting large studios like Ubisoft, like Microsoft, many more, and we're also inviting all the startups that are specifically working on crypto and gaming. And we think that there are a lot of stuff to do, and a lot of stuff to discuss between us to explore all the things that we can do with Ethereum, gaming, and either other blockchain that are still in development right now. But then an event is still an event. I mean, we go to an event and then it's finished, and all the partnerships that are made during this event actually stay private, quite private. So how to continue the discussions and how to decide to open standards, for example, on Ethereum and gaming, that's a question that we wanted to be able to discuss with other startups, with other studios every day, and discuss about standard and have a dedicated space online also to talk about all these things. And that's when we thought that we would create an Ethereum Game Alliance, because Enterprise Ethereum Alliance already exists, and it's actually working quite well for people to meet with each other, and it's really dynamic in the Ethereum community. And without that, having an Ethereum Game Alliance would make a lot of sense. And as I'm speaking to a lot of people here and there and at other events, people are actually interested in participating and to have discussions about Ethereum and gaming. So create an Ethereum gaming community, of course, but also define open standards for gaming and develop new tools. For example, at B2Expand, we had to tackle we had the need to develop tools for Unity, and almost all the indie studios already today are developing on Unity. But there were little tools, and Ethereum was one of them, but there are little tools to implement actually blockchain in Unity. So that's very practical. If indie developers don't have the time, they don't have the money, they don't have the energy to go to blockchain. So we have to bring blockchain to them. And for that, we need to bring tools to them. So we developed a C# library, for example, that, and now it will be much, much easier to implement blockchain assets, Ethereum blockchain assets into Unity. But it's just the beginning. We're doing articles, tutorial videos, a lot of stuff, and we think that we shouldn't be the only ones promoting this environment for work. And last of all, I think large companies, we've seen that large companies are actually really, really interested in blockchain. They want to know what it is, they want to know how it works, and how they could implement blockchain into their projects. And I think it's really, really important for them to identify startups and companies that are already in the space and already knowing what they do. So they can have an expertise they don't have in the internet. Thank you. Beyond the Void is actually playable at our stand, so you're welcome to come and play and to test the game if you like.
Excellent. A round of applause for Manon. Anyone have any questions about the game, gaming on Ethereum development? Any wider questions about Ethereum or gaming on the blockchain? I'll ask you a question. How does... Oh, we got a question.
There was a question.
Hey, wave it right in the air.
When's the game due to be fully released? Because you mentioned...
Fully released would be Q4. Well, actually, Beyond the Void is actually quite finished right now. But I was saying earlier, actually, gamers are really, really tough. They need perfect games, especially from indie developers, and they're not very forgiving. So the gameplay of Beyond the Void is quite finished right now, and we just need to improve some of the UI and user experience, but it's almost done. And the thing we need to really, really add into the game is content. At the moment, we have 3 ships available to play. It's not enough for a MOBA. So we need to implement more before we can fully release, and that is not taking some development time because the development is already done, but it's taking time for the game designer and the graphics designer to get the 3D models and all. So by the fall, I think we will release the whole game officially.
Is there a way for users to submit skins or other things they can sell, or weapons, or funny masks, or whatever?
No, at the moment there isn't, but this is definitely user-generated content is definitely a big question in video games and blockchain. We didn't tackle this question yet, but we will in the next years. But some other project is actually doing that. Spells of Genesis launched user-generated content projects. So we're following what they do very actively.
Go. Let's have this gentleman here first. Do you have a question, mate? Yeah, go for it.
So my question was on the user experience. What is it like? I mean, playing these games. Is it the slowness of the games that's hindering the performance, or the graphics quality? What are the gamers complaining about?
What? Sorry, I
The
didn't...
gamers, you're saying, they're not forgiving enough.
Yeah. No, I didn't say forgiving enough. I said forgiving like at all. I mean, there are a lot of video games in the space. There are a lot of video games, and I think most of it for Beyond the Void in this particular space, it needs 2 things. It needs content, and it needs a large player base. Because without a large player base, people are actually queuing a long time. And if you queue 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you don't find anyone to match with, then you leave the game and you never come back. So this is also work we need to do right now for the release in a few months. It's to gather, to do marketing campaigns now that the gameplay is truly finished, So we can actually have a large player base for when the game is released, because then it will gain momentum. Otherwise, it will just fall, have some success maybe for a few days or months, and then it will fall back.
And Manon, this problem of the game has been unforgiving, right? That's got nothing to do with being built on Ethereum or Beyond the Void in particular, right? This is all gamers. Even if it was a traditional game, they know they've only got so much attention, they know they've only got so much playtime, and there's so much choice.
Yeah,
they'll
exactly.
have one go at the game. If it's bad, they'll just bin it, right? And
Exactly.
that's what you're up against.
Exactly, and also there are a lot of things right now. You have on Steam, you can have lots of games for free, or for like very little money. This is free to play, but even though it's free to play, there are a lot of free to plays on Steam, and there are lots of competition between games. The competition is a lot more. There's a lot more competition in this space than in any other, I think.
So you said you're planning to finish the game in Q4.
Release it, yeah.
The question I've got is, will you keep adding content, as in new ships? Because what I find with MOBAs is you consistently need to add more content forever, essentially.
Yeah, agreed. Yes, we will. This is an official statement. Once the game is released, if everything goes right, if there is a player base that is substantial, of course we'll add new content every month. It needs to be so.
Okay, and maybe a second question regarding the shop. Every item is priced in Nexium.
Yes.
So how about the volatility of the crypto asset itself? Does the price change with the dollar value, or how is it pegged?
Okay, so when we sell a newly created asset, we sell it in limited amounts. So some assets will be in large amounts and very low in price, so everyone can get it, like a basic skin or anything. But most of the assets will be locked and in small or medium amounts. And every time we sell a newly created asset, we set a price. For example, if we think that this skin is worth €5, then we get the equivalent in Nexium, and we put this price in Nexium, and the price for this particular asset will never change. Meaning, if the Nexiums go up or down, it doesn't change the price of this item. But mostly players, when we won't make items as such as won't be designed to stay forever in the shop. They have to be sold in quick time, quickly. Well, my English is really lousy. Sorry. We have to sell them quickly, so the Nexium price doesn't change too much. But even though we sell it quickly, it will always change a little bit. And if there is something happening, like Ethereum goes down or up, or it will maybe not affect directly the Nexium price, but it will certainly affect it a little bit anyway. And on the black market, people will choose their own price. So that's the law of offer and demand, I guess. So that's microtransactions, limited assets on the corporation shop, and whatever players decide on the black market.
Yes, on that point, so say you create 5,000 blasters, right? And you're saying, just to make sure you're not stuck with the stock, right? You want to sell them all, get them out there in the market, and then people can trade them amongst themselves, right? Because if there isn't enough demand, you might sell 2,000 out of the 5,000, and then people just trade them amongst themselves, and then you're stuck with them. I think that's just interference somewhere.
Well, yes, but let's say people buy for 50 Nexiums. That's my mic. Okay.
I don't think it's you.
I think it's me.
think it was you. It's fine. He's working on it. He's working on it. He's working on it.
I won't move anymore.
Okay, I think he's working. I think he's working. No, maybe not.
Yeah. Not moving anymore. But when I moved my arm, it was moving. But anyway, when, if we sell 2,000 skins on the corporation shop out of 5,000, will people exchange it in the black market for less? If I buy something 50 Nexium on the corporation shop, I want to sell it higher, right? So I can't sell it higher if there is still supply in the corporation shop. So it will be fine, I guess.
It'll work itself out.
Yes, that's what I meant.
You have KYC at the corporation shop?
Yeah, well, big question. Nice, nice. So KYC will be handled two ways, because for the game we need to have KYC as well, and general like sales conditions and stuff. So we are working out all the video game legal stuff, and for the shop there will be two things. There will be legal conditions that you will have to accept when you buy when you create a wallet and when you buy Nexiums. But buying Nexiums is another story, because we're not selling Nexiums ourselves. So what we will do, it's not the case yet, that is planned for Q3, is that we want to players don't know about crypto, and that's like a global truth. I think today it's Beyond the Void is designed for players like regular gamers, but regular gamers don't know anything about Nexiums or crypto or blockchain. They don't know what it is. So we need to make it very, very easy for them. We have one luck though, is that players, gamers are already used to this system where you buy a soft currency to spend in games. Like they are already buying gems, diamonds, I don't know, gold coins, I don't know, to spend into games to get lives in Candy Crush and so. So we have this less barrier, and people are already used to that kind of system. But still, so Nexium for them would act just like any other soft currency they're buying in other games, except that they could trade back, and that's a huge perk. But so they will buy Nexium, but only if it's easy, and only if they can do it in like a few seconds with a credit card, right?
Okay, credit card is in the KYC, doesn't it?
Yes, and we're not only the KYC for, we are not handling Nexium sales. This is a partners. So we're like in negotiation with a few companies right now to see which of those companies could actually sell Nexiums to our player for the best rate, with the best legal, the best KYC and everything, but they will handle, a third-party company will handle the KYC for that.
Cool. Here we go. Going old school with a big old cable.
So are you doing anything specific in terms of educating gamers around, this idea of exchange of points for currency? Are you doing something around that?
Yes, yes, exactly. When we first began Beyond the Void, it was very, very early. So Ethereum was not mature at all in 2016, and we already had this project, but we had lots of problems, like, and we still do for some parts. Right now on the store, you have to have Ether as well as Nexiums to have to pass transactions, because gas is paid in Ether. But this year, I'm sure in 1 month, 2 months, you will be able to pay your gas in tokens. So that's one less step for gamers. So everything will become easier and easier for them. And we are here. When we designed our shop, we designed it exactly like any shop from any game. It's really similar to other shop for MOBAs or for other games. And everything we do with Beyond the Void, I guess Beyond the Void is specific, and when we do other games, we are developing currently other games, we'll do it more like with a different target. But this is large for a large player base, not a specific target, but for the Lambda gamer. So we need to make it very easy, and the UI of the store is designed to be the easiest possible. And when we will do engage marketing campaigns, we want you can't sell a game by telling people, hey, play my game, because you will be able to sell assets. That's just not working. You have to say, play the game because it's really fun. And then, when they're already engaged, oh, but do you know you can actually trade back your game items? And that would be much more efficient. But to do that, we need a large player base. So this is still to be launched, done, but we're like very, very close to it. I think in May we'll be more than ready to launch that step.
Let me go to this gentleman right here, and we'll come back to you.
So you slipped there that you're developing more games. Any more info on that?
Yeah, it's not really. We didn't do any official statement or anything yet. But yes, we are developing one other game at the moment, and it will be released most likely before Beyond the Void, actually, because it's a smaller game. And we are in development for some months now, so maybe this summer we'll release it. I can't say more than that. I'm tired. But an announcement is like really close anyway, so you'll know all about it very soon.
No, my final thing was just a comment. I know exactly what you mean by unforgiving game players. I have a 13-year-old son who is unforgiving about other things, and about gaming, he is surely unforgiving. So,
yeah.
Anybody else?
So with the little small new game, will Nexium also be the native token that will be used there?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, I muted some slides in my presentation because I presented that same presentation at the Ethereum Community Conference in Paris in 1 month, and I had some slides about a gaming ecosystem called Nexarium that we already announced in our social media, but we didn't go to press or anything like that with it because we're still like, I don't know how do you say that in English, but in French it would be like walking on eggs, you know, like like very careful with it. And so Nexarium would be the ecosystem we dreamed of when we first hatched Beyond the Void. And it's an ecosystem where every game would be cross-gaming using the same token, Nexium, and be cross-gaming with each other. So you could have the same the items in the same store and all of that. So Nexarium, as we are understanding it right now, would be a curated list, whitelisted games, both from the team in B2Expand, the development team in B2Expand, but also from other studios. That need to go to us, and then if we whitelist the game, they could be part of the Nexarium, use our authentication server to log in. It would be the same one account login for all the games and the stores, and that would simplify a lot cross-gaming and transactions. But that's still, we're still building that.
I have a question. You've answered this already, but I just want to ask a straight question for a straight answer. What are your revenue streams like? How does the company make money?
Revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your business model like?
We're selling blockchain services on the side. So that's We are mostly selling consulting services for Ethereum because we've been in the space for quite a while now, so we have some expertise, and also development services. So, and we are working with clients. That's confidential information, so I can't make that public. But yes, so that's one way for us to generate revenue. And the other way is, well, we had a successful ICO, so we're still on that fund too. And we will probably be on that fund for quite a while, even now, because, well, games take time. Monetization in games take time. And we want to do, like, quality games, quality content. We have the strength and we have the luck to have finances and to build games like we want to and like we want, like we think that it will work. Most indie studios today don't have that luck at all. They are always running after money, after banks, and it's a really, really complicated process for indie studios to have funds, and we don't have that problem, so we're really enjoying taking the time to develop a thing that we believe in.
I suppose you'll sell the content within the game as well, right, as revenue?
Revenue, yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, the store is not generating any revenue right now, but of course it will be, yeah.
Do we have any more questions? I've got one right up there. See if my cable will reach. If I just get snagged and won't fall down the stairs, that'll be funny. Here we go. It's going to reach. Here we go.
Hi, Manon. Thanks for talking. So I have a question. The way I understand it, you haven't released anything yet. There's no pre-blockchain version of the game. It's all going to be released in one go, right?
No, it's released already. The game is, you can download and play the game on Steam right now.
Right.
And also the store is released. It was released in January, so you can actually create an account on the game. You have the same credential login in the store.
Okay.
You can build in a wallet into the store, or you can link an existing wallet into a game account. Mm-hmm. Then you can spend your Nexiums to buy assets already, and it's working with the game. You can actually play with the skins in the game.
Right. So you already have quite a big community of gamers that are using it at the moment, or you're looking to start that from scratch as well?
We have a community of gamers. We have a Discord where people are there every day talking. We are organizing tournaments. We're not from scratch. Mm-hmm. We don't have a large player base. That's the truth. But we're not from scratch right now. We have a game. It's working. People are playing it. It's being rated. The ratings on Steam are actually quite good, especially for an early access. The story is online. It's working, and people are following us. So
good.
Yeah.
Just final point then. So what can you do then to get more players? Like, what sort of marketing can you do? And like you're talking about, you've got a community on the Ethereum startup side, but how do you go about expanding the players community?
Well, I think we're an old enough project to be known in the crypto space, and people usually know us when we go to events, and we've been talking with a lot of people on the blockchain space. So that's a big part of the community right now. And the other part is the players that we met at events, because we're doing also quite a lot of gaming events. Actually, we were at the Lyon eSport in February. We do, most of the time, we do one gaming event every month. So actually, we have players from there, but in terms of marketing, we have a lot to do because we could reach out, we will reach out to influencers, very big influencers in the gaming industry, and that will be thousands of views. So gaming influencers are one very big thing. Also gaming press, we have had quite a lot of articles in blockchain press, but not so much in gaming press. So we need to reach out to players through all the canals that we need. Sorry.
No, I understand.
Okay. Well, we need to reach out to players in more than one way.
it seems like how much of that would you want to take on yourself, and how much would you, like you mentioned Ubisoft, like it would probably seem like it would be worthwhile to like organize some kind of publishing or partnership with a larger gaming company, and then you have all of the marketing streams in place, right?
Yes,
What I
well,
understand.
large companies, large gaming companies certainly have the power to reach out to players. That's true. We want to remain independent because, well, we can, for one, we can. We have the luck to be sufficient. So that for now, so that's very interesting. We want to keep it that way. So this way we can develop exactly like we want, how we want it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that Ubisoft, we're talking with them on a regular basis, actually every week, because we were, they contacted us last year to be in their startup program in Station F, Paris, which is the largest startup building in the world, I think, something like that. It's like the Eiffel Tower size. It's like huge. And we were there for a little bit more than 6 months with Ubisoft teams and in the program, and we really talked with the program is actually run by the director of the innovative lab at Ubisoft, and we're talking to them. It's that for one is not confidential at all because it was released in the press and everything, but we're talking with them on a regular basis. And they actually helped us a lot to see how we could mix blockchain and, well, blockchain is our expertise, but they have the gaming expertise, like they have the press, but also they have a lot of very valuable opinions on how a video game should be made and what should be a success and what should not even be considered. So they helped us a lot, and I think there is other partnerships with large companies to be made than just a publishing relationship between two companies.
I suppose that brings us back to making the game fun, right? Because if it's player versus player and the game's fun, you'll just bring your friends. So that's kind of why it's so important to focus on the game as being a fun game in the first place, right?
Yes.
Maybe one last question for me. Are you hiring, or are you right now comfortable at the team size that you've got?
Okay, we are so hiring. we absolutely need a front end. So that's I'm looking for a front end since like 2 months and I can't find one. So you're like, thank you so much for bringing that up because this is very, very important. Yes, we're hiring a front end. Finally we found a DevOps. He arrived yesterday and we're like, yes, because we have several projects. We have Beyond the Void, we have these other games I was talking about. And also, we think that we need to explore what to do with blockchain and gaming more intensively than just, we need to do proof of concepts, we need to do prototypes, and we need to really assess what is working and what is not. So we hired, we have like students helping us, but we also have developers on the blockchain that are helping us and joined the team quite recently to tackle all these questions about how to do, and we're also working on other subjects like ENS. Well, we're working on a lot of subjects right now, and we need people to continue working. We have a researcher that came on Monday, and he's specialized in artificial intelligence. So it's his research paper that he's doing, but I think it's really worth that he's doing it at B2Expand because then we can keep an eye on that as well, and maybe mix the two, blockchain and AI. That would be very interesting. So, well, yes, we are hiring.
Any more questions for Manon? Oh, yes, we've got one over here. Back to this gentleman.
Static. When moon? When moon?
Okay.
Does that
That I
translate?
didn't catch, sorry.
He said, when moon.
When who?
When moon. Oh, that's a meme.
Ah, okay. Sorry, I'm not.
Oh, that's the short version. The long version.
I'm not meme updated.
The long version is, when's the price going to shoot to the moon? That's the long version.
Ah, oh yeah, when moon. Sorry.
I know.
Okay.
It was-
Now I understand.
It would have been funny.
When moon. Oh, I don't know. And frankly,
Yeah, I've done their ICO. We're all good, right? Have any serious questions before we close? That's going to come
truth
up
is,
again.
if
should
the
try that again
Nexium
somehow.
is like 0.01 dollar, will just make the asset really expensive. That's, well, of course it would be good for promotion and within the blockchain space to have a good Nexium price. And of course, but the ICO was quite a long time ago now, and I think that traders that went in for the ICO 1.5 years after, either they sold or they kept because they believe in the project, either way. But I mean, people still hanging, maybe there are, I don't know, but I don't think so. And so the price now is mostly irrelevant for the game because we will adapt anyway.
Did you raise enough money?
Do you need any more money?
No, I think we're good.
You're good.
We raised 30,000 Ether.
Which was at the time?
It was November 2016, so it was 10 euro.
10 what? 10 euros.
10 euros.
Yeah.
It was 10 euros, and then you kept your liquid in Ether, or you transferred that to?
Well, we diversified a bit, but this is beginning to be inside well, for one, I don't manage the cryptocurrencies in the company, and also I'm not really comfortable discussing that. But
Personal question. Not,
Who's that?
personal, it's a personal
There's someone in the hallway.
But if you've got an open, can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, from a transparency standpoint, I think all businesses should kind of disclose what they're doing with their funds or where their funds are going. I'm not saying it to you personally, but I think if we're assuming your business was created to create a fairer, more transparent economy, then I would expect people to be aware of, or like what you've done with your funds, where you're allocating your funds, and how you're spending your funds. I mean, if someone bought, if I had an ICO and I would expect every ICO now to think, if I've raised $10 million and there's a possibility that Ether could be worth half of that in 48 hours, and then I've got $5 million, I'd expect to do maybe 2 or 3 things with that. I would possibly hedge some of that. I'll possibly convert some to fiat, and I will possibly, maybe because I love crypto, keep some in crypto. So I would expect every business to be transparent about that, or at least attempt to tell the public that they're doing that.
well, I think I know that in B2Expand the politic about that is that we did an ICO to deliver a product, and we need to really be transparent about the timeline, the deadlines, when we are expecting delays, when we're not, what's the development timeline, what's the marketing that could be done around the project to make the project a success. And I think I totally agree that should be really transparent for one, and that should be. We try to be as transparent as possible with the project, but it's not always easy to be as transparent as we should, because and that's because of really practical reasons. It's like like managing crypto and managing fiat and managing company finances and what's in the project, what's not in the project, what should we disclose, what should we not disclose. That's a question we need to ask ourselves every day, every month. So sometimes we catch up and we say, oh, yes, this is what we do, and that's the most transparency we can give. And sometimes we're like a little bit late and running behind, you know. But I guess the goal here on the project is to be really transparent about the funds. But we won't be, I don't think we won't be ever as transparent as you would like, because, well, the company is a private company. It's not a foundation. We mean to get revenue through the company and to launch other products and to expand our activities. And this can't be as transparent as we could expect in a fairer world.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I think the intention behind that question is just trying to identify any potential risks to the business. Because say if you've invested, I think that's all it's getting at, right?
Yeah, well, when we did our ICO, we didn't have any escrow. We didn't, but that was in November 2016, and nobody was doing ICO, and ICO did not, the words were not even existing. Like we called that crowd sales, and it was a crazy times, because in regular standard way to get funds from banks, from angel investors, and it would be very difficult. You would have to have a very specific white paper, a timeline, revenue, you would have to prove that you will generate revenue in which schedule, you know, and we didn't need any of that. And that was, at the time, that was magic, because we were 4 people believing in the projects and believing that we could deliver something, and people trusted us on a smart contract, not even escrows. Not on a smart contract on Ethereum, people chose to trust us and to give us Ether to fund the project, and that was amazing. That was really, really amazing. At the time, we raised 300,000 euros, approximately 350,000 euros, maybe, in Ether equivalent. And for us, this budget for an indie game, this budget was actually huge. Because in indie game, most indie games that are developed right now don't have this kind of budget. So we were like very happy that everything could be. We worked a lot, because nobody at the time knew anything about the blockchain. Everything was new. There were no tools at all in Ethereum even to debug the code, and the truffle did not exist. Nothing was, and we had a bug on the day of the ICO. We had a bug. We had a very big problem. People, we had a problem with my Ether wallet, and Taylor Monahan from my Ether wallet actually woke up at 4 a.m. because she was in a different time zone than us. And she saw the message. I talked with her about that later on, like last month actually, when I met her in person. And I told her, hey, do you remember we had a very big issue, and you woke up at 4 a.m. to solve the issue for us? And she was like, oh yes, I remember, that was a long time ago. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, because you saved the ICO. And of course, we can't anymore do that, because there is so much ICOs going on right now, and that, I guess, different times, different ways, and I agree that was really unexpected to have this less proofs that were serious people and this much money. It was like, but. Anyway, we're very happy it came that way, and now we can prove that we actually are a working team with a strong development team behind it. So,
any final questions? Another one. Do you have a question, mate? No? They're just waving around there.
Maybe from a speculative point of view, you're basically only traded on Poloniex.
B2X.
Also B2X?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Open Ledger, Ether Delta, Hit
Yeah,
BTC.
Yeah,
They're
Ether
smaller,
Delta
but-
is questionable, but yeah. Ether Delta is quite questionable
Right.
in my eyes, but yeah, okay. I forgot about Bittrex. So
Okay.
basically that's that answers it. Yeah.
So I just did some maths while we were talking. So initially you raised like $360,000, which was like say 3,000 ether at the time, which when ether went up to $1,200, it was like $36 million. So yeah, how do you? I don't know what did the business want to raise, and I'm trying to put it in my head how why obviously the officials and regulators are getting a little bit annoyed with our industry to the point where you raised a certain amount of money, that's what you needed, and all of a sudden if you kept it in crypto, then a few months later you had this much money, and you know how people can become almost like, I wouldn't say, especially when someone's, it's hard to explain this in a put it like, you've had so many players in this industry that have made a lot of money and they don't really need to deliver a product. They've made so much money from the ICOs where they're not, you know, they might have been passionate about the beginning, but then they're sitting on, like, you know, a few $100 million or $20 million. They're thinking, I can just go and relax on a beach now, and it's happened many times, and you can see why we've had these problems. How do you, all your investors, what would you say to them? Someone that invested, let's say, 1,000 ether, which was at that point when it was $10 only, let's say 10 grand or 100 grand, and now they're thinking, if I held onto that ether, I would have been sitting on a few $1 million right now, but I gave you that, and I have nothing to show for it. So what would you say to those people?
Yeah, I've seen projects raising millions and then not really showing any updates, and not really being really serious about their development projects, and that's the truth. I've seen it many times actually, and also outright scams, but that's even a different story. Well, first of all, we raised 30,000 ether, but we had to pay ourselves, and this happened before the ether price raised, actually. So we didn't have $30 million. Like it's we don't have $30 million. We have much we have much less. But even though we have much less than that, and we spent a lot, because you spend a lot, you need we needed to. We sold some ether at $7 because in January 2017, after we did our ICO, the price was, slowly decreasing, and we thought, okay, we thought we had money, but maybe not. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. So we had to sell some of it, and it was heartbreaking for us. For us, my CEO is still traumatized about that, because he knew at the time he was really believing from the beginning. He was telling us, it's actually my father, so I know him quite well, and and he was telling me, we need to do our ICO right now. We need to do it right now because Ethereum is an amazing technology, and I think it really take momentum, it would really explode. So we pressurized ourselves so much to do the ICO in so little time, because we thought that the price would explode right after. And after the ICO, the price was actually not exploding at all. It was actually decreasing. So we thought, oh, that's really bad, and we need to keep developing the project that we promised to backers. So we sold a lot then, and afterward, when it came back, the price came back and then exploded in April, and then in May, and it was 300 euros, and then 1,000 euros in December 2017, and we're like, okay, so that's crazy, that's completely crazy, and now it's doing the same, it's decreasing again, and we are not professional finance people, so.
When you suddenly realise that your pot had increased by quite a considerable amount, and you were obviously, not in a bad position, without disclosing numbers, how did you actually stay focused on development? Were you sitting there? If I'm sat there, right, and I'm working my arse off, and I know what it's like to put everything in safe, but you suddenly realise that you've got way more than you need. How do you stay focused when you're in that position?
Well, my salary is not paid in crypto. It's paid in euro every month. And I'm a COO at my company. I began as community manager, and this week I was promoted actually, and I'm running the company now. And my salary didn't so much changed in euro. I mean, and I'm paid really what you could be considered like a low rate for the position I hold in the company, and also for the work I do. And this is fine actually, because we're a startup. We're a startup, and people in startups don't pay themselves a lot of money. They pay themselves the right amount to keep the company going, and we know that we potentially, I know that we have a lot of money that we could invest or that we could get, but actually that's not true, because, well, my salary is always the same every month. I don't see any crypto on my account, and also I know that Ether, if there is a big problem, there is a huge technological risk with cryptocurrency. If Ether crash downs as a problem, as an issue, and if everybody leaves the boat, I don't know, and Ether is not a thing anymore, and now it's EOS. I don't know. Maybe it can happen. It can happen overnight, and we've seen it happen with other tokens, with other cryptocurrency. So there is a huge risk, and I don't think we have enough. You can never have enough money to say, okay, that's okay, I can go to the beach. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that I like my job. Well, and I think at B2Expand, we have like really, really motivated people that are passionate about the work, and if they're the same as me, and they're even worse because they're not associates. They don't even know we have crypto or not crypto. They're developers, they are graphists, they are game developers, blockchain developers, illustrators. I don't know, but they're always paid the same every month, and that's their work, the job, everyday job. So.
You got another question, because we close it down for the next segment. So, final round of applause for Manon, please.